All right, guys, this is video number 3. We are going to dive into inside zone. Let's get going. All right, welcome back, guys. Here we go. We're going to start diving into the actual run concepts themselves. So over the next series of videos, what we're going to do is we'll do some chalk talk, and then we'll go to cut ups, and then we'll do some more chalk talk and go back to cut ups. So that's kind of what's coming. We're going to start with inside zone, which might be the most important and also the most difficult to teach of all the run concepts in the spread offense. I'm going to go, I'll start with this. I'll do a little personal story. I have a love-hate relationship with inside zone. I love inside zone because it's so versatile. And if you're good at it, you can call it almost all the time. And if your kids understand rules and they understand how to communicate, you can be really successful with it. And you don't really have to prep. You don't have to draw up scout cards because the rules are transferable, right? The rule is the rule. And it doesn't really matter how the defense lines up. If people stick with their rules, you can have success, okay? So that's why I love it. It's incredibly versatile. I have a long history with inside zone. So when I was in college, we ran basically two plays. We ran inside zone, we ran horn, and I played tight end H-back. So I blocked inside zone probably 18 million times in my college career because that's basically all we did, honestly. And so I love it, but I also hate it. And here's why I hate it. Because if you commit to it, you have to commit to it. And it takes a lot of time to teach and a lot of time to practice. And then you might find out once you actually get pads on that your guys can't generate any movement. Right? And so what I'm saying is I think that because inside zone is all about creating movement with the double team, right? You have to get movement at the point of attack in order to create lanes for your running back to cut back in, right? Because it's all about you move the defense this way, you create movement, and then your running back cuts back against the grain. And if you don't create movement at the point of attack, you can have spent all of the offseason and a ton of time in practice working on a play that you're actually not successful at. So I say that to say this. I've done it both ways. I've run the heck out of inside zone, and I've scrapped inside zone week 1 when I just realized, oh my gosh, our guys cannot get any movement. I have a solution to that, however, which I will get to in a second. You can actually teach your guys to block stretch and just teach your running back to run inside zone. And it actually works. It doesn't sound like it would, but it actually does if you have big line splits. So I'll get to that as we go through the course. So that's just my little personal history with inside zone. Let's go through the concept and some ideas on the chalk. So again, I'm in the playbook. I'm on page 6 now. Sorry, on page 5 actually. And we're going to go through inside zone. I'm going to talk about, like I said at the beginning, I'm going to talk about ways that I have found to teach it successfully. If you have an offensive line coach, and I talk about this right here, if you have a way that works for you, go with it, okay? It's all about teaching something that the kids understand. So if you found something that works, don't change. Because inside zone is inside zone. It's just how you communicate it that goes a long way with kids. So what I'm going to talk about is the way that I have found to communicate it that works the best in my experience. But if you have a great line coach that knows how to teach it in terms of combos, then that's fine too. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as we go through the actual plays. So here's what we use. We use a covered and uncovered principle. So when our linemen come up to the line of scrimmage, they're going to tell the guy next to them, I'm covered or I'm uncovered. So here's your rules. If there is a down lineman between head up on you and head up on the next play side lineman, then you are covered. Okay, if you're covered, then you reach block the defensive lineman. So that means we're going to step with our outside foot. We're going to take a 6-inch step with our outside foot. We're going to rip with our outside arm, with our backside arm, right? We're going to rip across with our backside arm. We're going to try to get our head across, right? That's a reach block. We're going to try to reach that guy. It's tempting to try to drive block, okay, but really we want to reach block because we want to widen him so the running back has an opportunity to cut back across the grain. So if we're covered, we reach, okay? If we are uncovered, okay, so that's the next step. If we are uncovered, that means there's no down lineman between us and the next play side lineman. That means we're uncovered. Then we take a reach step to the play side, anticipating slant and giving help. And if there's no slant, then we get up to the second level. Okay, so basically, this is the double team. Okay, this is the double team. So I'm uncovered which means I have nobody head up on me, okay, and the next closest lineman is outside, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step with my reach. I'm going to take my reach step, anticipating a slant, and if he doesn't slant, okay, then I'm going to get up to the second level. If he slants, or if my buddy needs help, then I'm going to give my buddy help, and we're going to drive that guy up to the second level, okay? Now, again, there's other ways to teach this. A lot of coaches teach just a series of combo blocks, okay, depending on the front. So if you're running a 4, or if you're facing a true 4-2 box, right, the tackle is going to be one-on-one. The guard and center are going to combo the 1 technique up to the play side inside backer. The backside guard, backside tackle are going to combo the 3 technique up to the backside backer. That's fine, okay, and that works too. So again, if you have an offensive line coach that has a way to communicate this, that's fine. We're accomplishing the same thing. What I find is the covered uncovered principles are really transferable to different fronts. And so we don't have to worry about week in, week out, what is the defense doing? How are they lining up? Obviously, we're going to go through that, but it doesn't change how we communicate, okay? There are a few exceptions to this, which I'll get into as we go through the cut-ups. Again, I don't want to, this is not dogmatic, okay? This is us trying to figure out the best way to communicate. Okay, here's why I like the uncovered and covered rules, okay? They're easy to understand. They work against every front. A stunting 3-3 stack is an exception to this. I'll get to that when we go through the plays. I want to highlight this, okay? And I said this kind of at the beginning, but everything I love about a running play, it's simple, it's transferable, it has adaptable rules. It's easy to understand, it's easy to implement if you understand these rules. That way, and this is so important, guys, write this down, okay? Write this down, or highlight it in your playbook if you have that out. You can spend your time in practice actually learning how to reach block and how to double team instead of working on who to block. It's so much important to work on how to block than who to block, okay? I can't highlight that enough. That is so important, okay? And so many times we spend our time in practice working on who to block because they're in this front, so we're going to block this guy, and this guy. Awesome, but if you don't know how to block, it doesn't matter if you know who to block, okay? If I know I have to reach this guy, but I can't actually reach him because I haven't practiced it, and I don't know how to execute a reach block, then it doesn't matter if I know who to block. Okay, it's the same thing with the passing game. It's why we throw the ball, and it's all about reps in practice. It doesn't matter if you know how to run the right route. If when you run the right route you don't catch the football, or if you don't know actually how to get off a jam. Right? It doesn't matter if you know you're supposed to run a fade. If you can't get off press coverage, then you're not going to get open. So that's so important, guys. And that's why, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with zone. The reason I love it is because we can work on how to block as opposed to who to block. So if we work on reach blocks and we work on double teams, right, we can have some success running inside zone. But that concept you're going to see across the entire idea of the spread running game. Focus on how to block. Focus on skills, right? Don't focus on scheme. Focus on skills. That's more important, okay? It's more important that you block it correctly than that you actually always block the right guy, okay? And that's not necessarily true across all levels of football, but that's true in high school, right? Even if you block the wrong guy, but you block him successfully, we have a chance to have some success, okay? So I know I'm harping on this, but teach your guys that, right? It's more important to know how to block than it is always to know who to block. Now, if you know both, obviously, that's fantastic. Right now, you're in a really good spot. Okay. All right. Let's dive into a little bit more here. Talk about the running back. Okay. This is a cutback play. So as you're going to see on the cut-ups, most of our big plays in zone happen when the running back cuts it back against the grain. If your back doesn't have great vision or he keeps missing the hole, you can give him a simple rule. Press the heels of the O-lineman, then cut toward the 1 technique. So I've done this before. I don't like to overcomplicate it if I have a good athlete, okay? If you have a good athlete playing running back, then all you really have to do is just tell him to read it, and he'll understand. Press the hole, and then find the opening, right? If he has good vision, and most high school running backs can figure it out. If you don't have a guy with vision at all, you can just teach him press the hole, and if it's a play, just teach him to go toward the 1 technique if there's a 1 technique, okay? So if you're running against a 4-man front and there's a 1 technique on the backside, you press the hole, you cut it back to the 1 technique. If you run to the play side, if there's 1 technique in the play side, you keep it play side, okay? So that's a way to simplify it. It's a little trick in a way that I've learned to teach kind of a robotic running back. Maybe you have a really good athlete, but he's never played football before. You can teach a robotic running back to run zone correctly. Because a lot of coaches will argue, well, zone's a cutback play. Like the running back has to have vision. Yes, but you can actually teach him vision if you teach him those simple rules. I haven't had to do that for a few years, but I've done it in the past. So just keep that in mind. If you want to teach your guy, hey, you're always going to run zone toward the one technique, that you can actually be successful that way. Okay. But you'll see when we go through the cut-ups that most of our running plays, most of our success in zone comes when they cut it back against the grain. Okay, here's the exception. I'll get to this when we talk about a 3-3 stack, but because of the stunting and slanting nature of the 3-3, I found it more effective to teach zone as a series of combos. So that's kind of what I was talking about before. So the guard and tackle are going to combo the defensive end and the outside backer. The center and backside guard are going to combo the nose to the play side inside backer, and the backside tackle is going to sift. Okay, so that's an easy way to teach it. And if you see a lot of 3-3, that might be a better way to go about communicating it. So again, I know I'm giving you guys a lot of options, and that's on purpose. I want you to understand how to communicate this and give yourself various options to communicate this with your guys. Okay, let's get into some actual chalk talk here. Let's go to what does zone look like versus a 4-2 to a 1 technique. Okay, so excuse me, here we go. We're drawing up I'm on play 6 of the playbook here. So this is kind of your standard base college front, right? You have, 4-2 box, you have 1 high safety, probably either cover 3 or man free. And you have 6 guys in the box. Okay. So remember, we have to count. We have to understand what we're talking about when we say the box. What I mean is inside of the tackles. Okay, guys, we are going to count in the running game. So here's 6 guys in the running game. Let's talk about uncovered and covered rules against a front like this. We'll start with the play side tackle, right? He's covered. He has a man head up to outside shade of him to the play side. Okay, so he is covered, which means he is going to reach this defensive end. And when I say reach block, that means he's going to step with his outside foot. He's going to try to get his head outside and try to hook that guy. It's counterintuitive. I remember when I was in high school, okay, and I didn't really know how to play football yet. All of our running game was basically don't cross the hole, right? So if we called different holes. So we called like 44 blast or 44 dive, right? So we're going to go through the 4 hole, which means if I'm playing H-back or tight end, I'm going to kick out and the guard is going to block down. And we're going to open the hole up, right? So it's counterintuitive. When I got to college and we started running zone, and we called it 32 zone, okay, which means that's the play, that's the angle of the running back. He's going to read the 2 hole or the outside hip of the guard. But in my head, I thought, oh, 2 hole, we're going to run the ball inside. So I'm going to kick my guy out. Well, that doesn't equate in college, because that defensive end is going to stone me if I actually try to kick him out. What I need to try to do is reach him. If I reach him, what's he taught to do? He's not going to get hooked. He's going to widen, right? So if all of your guys on the line of scrimmage understand this concept, what's going to happen is if all of your guys reach, the defense is going to fly this way, because this defensive end, he has contained, right? He can't get hooked. So if you reach him here, he's going to fly outside, which what does that do? That opens up gaps, right? So it's counterintuitive, but it makes sense, because if the defense is taught not to get hooked, right? And good defensive line coaches, they're going to teach their guy, hey, if you're getting reach, you have to fight the reach, right? And you have to come flat down the line of scrimmage. Well, that's good for us, because that creates the defense is going to flow this way, right? The entire defense is going to flow like this, and our running back is going to take the football, and he's actually going to cut it back against the grain. Okay, so the tackle is uncovered. He's going to execute a reach here. The guard is also uncovered, right? There is nobody in between head up on him and head up on the next offensive player. So he is uncovered. So he's going to take a flat step, anticipating a potential slant here. But if this defensive end does what we think he's going to do, which is widen, the guard is just going to be able to get up to the next level and go right to that sandbacker. Okay, the center is covered. This is the most important block on the entire play. Now, again, some coaches will teach this. Some coaches will teach the guard, hey, you're uncovered here. You can stay home. You can give the center some help before you get up to the second level. And I'm going to say this, I don't have a problem with that. Okay, if you can actually get your guys to do that, and if you can communicate that, hey, if you're uncovered here, look inside, give your buddy some help, and then get to the second level. But here's the problem. Here's what I found, is that a lot of times what happens is we get caught up in this double team, and this Sam runs free, and we don't get there. And the other problem with looking inside is what if we do get this stunt? Bam and bam. Okay, So, but again, I've seen it coached both ways. I've seen communication both ways where we could communicate. Again, I'll give you some variations, but we could, for example, the tackle could give a solo call here, which means I'm solo on this guy. Wherever he goes, I have him man on man. And then we could give a combo call here, which means we're 2-on-2, which means wherever this guy goes, these two guys have him. So that's another good way to teach zone. And you can do it that way as well. So I want to give both options. I prefer the covered uncovered principle because I think it works more often. You're never going to get it perfect every time, but I think the covered uncovered principle tends, at least what I've found, is that tends to work a little bit better than teaching those combo blocks all the time. Okay. Anyway, again, you're free to disagree with me. There's a lot of coaches who coach the combo way, and that works fine too. Okay. It's all about what works for your guys and what you can communicate. And so kick this around your coach's room and decide which way you like it better. Backside. Okay, let's talk about the backside here. The guard here is uncovered because we're running zone right? So the guard is going to step with a play side foot, anticipating slant or this guy crossing the center's face, and then he's going to get up at the second level. Now again, because he has a tackle right on him, he can give his left hand here, right? He can give his left hand and help generate movement, but he is responsible for this gap extended. So he's going to step with his right foot, give his left hand here, and work up to that mic. And then the tackle has to try to work to the backside defensive tackle and try to generate movement here. The defensive end obviously is unblocked, right? That's responsibility of the quarterback. So the quarterback is going to read that defensive end. And here's what I teach. You'll see it on the cut-ups. But all I teach the quarterback is if you feel like you can get around him with width, right? You have to get this way. I don't want you cutting it upfield vertically. I want you to beat him with width. If you can beat him with width, keep the football, okay? If not, give it, okay? And what you're going to see when we see the cut-ups is most defensive ends, especially in high school, are going to come this way, right? They're going to come up the field like this, which means the quarterback's not always going to be able to beat him with width, but what that does is create a running lane for the running back to take the football and cut it back against the grain. Remember, the whole defense is going to be flowing this direction, right? They're all going to be flowing to the offensive right, which means the running back can cut it back against the grain. Okay, so there we go. That's an example. Zone versus a 4-2. Let's look at it. I have basically every way drawn up in the playbook. We're not going to go through every single front because the rules are the same, right? But let's go down here to a 3-man front and just look at how we would teach this against 3-3 stack. I told you this was kind of an exception. This is the time where I really focus on those combo blocks just because in a 3-3 stack, right, the whole point of running a 3-3 stack is you don't know, the offense doesn't know what the defense is going to do, right? Everybody's stacked and everybody's moving and twisting and stunting, and you can kill yourself trying to draw up every single blitz combination. You'll go crazy, right? You'll have 18 million scout cards, and you're trying to communicate this with your scout defense, and it's too, and they can do stuff on Friday that you haven't prepared for because there's so many combinations, right? They can stunt, they can bring two guys across, and they can slant, and they can cross blitz. There's just a million things. It's a great defense, and especially if you're worried about trying to draw everything up, it's really difficult. But if you teach it this way, sometimes you can eliminate all of that stuff. Quite honestly, against a 3-3, my favorite play is counter, but we'll get to that later. So against a 3-3 stack, what I would teach is combination blocks. So on the play side, we're going to have two combo blocks, and on the back side, we're going to sift. Okay, so on the play side, we just have these two guys have these two guys, no matter what. So even if they slant like this and like this, right, we're going to work on this combo block. And this is a drill will work. So when I get to the essential drill sections, we'll talk about the combo drill. It's important that you teach the combo drill, meaning you teach two guys blocking one guy up to the second level, and that backer can go over, he can go under. And you teach that and you practice that. And that way, when you tell your guys, hey, we're going to run a combo block here, they know exactly what a combo block is, right? Generate movement, and whatever way this backer slants, that's the lineman that's going to come off and get him. Or if they just blitz right off the bat and go bam, bam, then it's out or kick out and reach, right? So combo block on the front side, combo block on the play side, or a combo block on the nose and the mic, and then sift on the backside. Okay, so combo, and sift. Okay, now again on the backside, if the end slants inside, your step would take you right into that end, and you try to get your head across. So that means the jack here is probably coming around the outside, and that's the guy the quarterback is going to end up reading. Okay, so there's an example of when you could teach the combo blocks, and that would work as well. The covered uncovered rules still work here as well, right? I mean, right now, technically the tackle right now is covered, so he could give a covered call and he would reach this guy, but if he slants inside, the guard is stepping and he's ready for that slant, which means the tackle is going to come up to the next level. Okay, so either way works, but against a 3-3, and especially if you know you're going to see a 3-3, I would focus on those combo rules for that one. Okay. All right, give a couple examples. A five-man front is really easy, guys, and hopefully you're throwing the ball well enough that you're going to get a lot of five-man fronts. So let's look at kind of what it looks like against a 4-1 box here, and then a 3-2 as well. If we're going against a five-man front, what's nice is we only have one backer that we're responsible for, right? Our receivers are going to take care of the outside backers, and the safety is going to be free runners, but I'll talk about this quite often. First of all, we can get to the backside safety here if we get up, or we can get to the will if he scrapes over because we're sifting on the backside. But most high school safeties, right? Why did they play safety? Like, why do you play safety in high school? Think about it. These are your wide receivers, right? These are sometimes there's a stud. Don't get me wrong. Like every once in a while, you're going to see a stud safety, but most high school safeties, what do they want to do? They want to cover, right? They want to play center field. They want to stay back. There's not a lot of them that want to come downhill and actually get involved in the running game. If we were blocking this in college, right, these guys are taught, like they're coming downhill. They're going to run this alley, and they're run defenders, right? So we'd have to be aware that these guys are going to be free runners, and the running back is going to be responsible for beating those guys. But in high school, quite honestly, how oftentimes do you see a free safety or a strong safety coming downhill and really making a ton of plays in the running game? So we're just going to stick with our rules, okay? And our rules dictate that we're going to be covered and we're going to be uncovered, right? So let's talk about it. So we are covered here, okay? We're out, so outside shade, we're going zone right. So we are covered here. We're going to execute a reach block. The guard right here is uncovered, right? So he's going to stretch with his right foot and realize that he has no immediate threat here. His only threat is potentially if this end slants across his face. So he's going to step with his right foot. He can give his left hand, okay, again, in a 4-1, he can give his left hand here. And really the only guy we have to worry about is this backer flowing over the top. So really what we have here is a combo on the play side tackle with the center and the guard, right? These two guys are working up to that mic. Backside, we're going to cut off the nose, and backside tackle, we're going to sift, and we can get all the way to the free safety. Or if the mic decides he's going to stunt this way, we could run into the mic. Teach your guy to block most dangerous man, right? When he's on a sift call, block most dangerous man. Get up to that second level, okay? All right, let's go to one more quick example, and let's look versus that's a 3-3. I'm going to keep scrolling down. Here's if you get a 3-4 look, okay? So if you get a 3-4 look, same idea. Covered and uncovered. Let's stick with our rules, right? Tackle right here. He's covered, right? So we're going to reach this defensive end. Hopefully he widens and that creates a gap. Guard, right? He's uncovered, right? So he's going to step with his right foot, anticipating slant, get up to the second level. Center's covered, obviously, so he's going to reach here. Guard is uncovered, so he's going to step inside, anticipating slant, and get up to the second level. And tackle is uncovered, so he's going to step inside. If the end slants across his face, he'll take him. If not, he can get up to that second level. He can either help with his backer, or if the guard has this backer taken, he can get up to that free safety. Okay? So again, if you get a 5-man box, zone lines up really, really well. Where it gets a little bit more complicated is when you get into those 6 and 7-man boxes. Okay. I drew it up. I'm going to go down here. I drew it up against a couple 7-man boxes. Okay. Actually, no, I didn't draw it up against a couple 7-man boxes. That's an important point. Perfect. I love it. I didn't even realize that I hadn't done that. I think I drew stretch up against a 7-man box, but not zone. When you get to zone, so I'm on page, just so you guys know, I'm page 11. If you have a 7-man box, I wouldn't run zone. There's no point to run running zone if you have a 7-man box, right? There's no advantage. You don't have an advantage inside. You want to run outside. So if you have a 7-man box, run stretch, run speed option, run toss, or throw the football. Don't worry about trying to run interior if you have a 7-man box. So there we go. There's some chalk talk against a 5-man box and a 6-man box. A couple of varying coaching points that you can try to use to communicate this. Hopefully that's helpful. We're going to go on to the cut-ups. So the next video, go ahead and click play, and we're going to get in some cut-ups of inside zone.